Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's me, UFC Investor. In this video, we're going to be talking about UFC 309 Stipe versus Jones. In this video, I'm going to be giving my predictions, picks, and bets for each fight. And yeah, guys, let's get into the first fight. All right, guys. So for the first fight, we have Veronica Hardy versus Eduarda Moura. I'm just going to tell you guys right now, guys, I'm going with Hardy. She's just been on a winning streak. She's like, I think 3-1 in her last 4 fights. So she's on a 3-fight win streak. She's obviously married to Dan Hardy. She dated Khalil Roundtree. She's training at Brahimaj team, and she also makes predictions too, which is actually kind of interesting. If you go to her Instagram, she makes her predictions for fights too, which is pretty cool. So yeah, guys, I'm going with Hardy. Eduarda, I think her only chance to victory is to keep Hardy in one place, because Hardy's just gonna be running around, like, you know, striking, trying to get the points out, trying to get the point battle out. I don't think Hardy's gonna finish Eduarda, but I think she's probably gonna try to get a decision win. So if Eduarda can try to catch her and just maybe try to finish her or control the fight on the ground, then she does have a chance, I think. But I just don't think she's gonna be capable of doing that. I'm gonna be siding with Hardy on this one. Some notable things to say about Eduarda Moura is that she does see a psychologist. Like I said, she has like a walk forward pressure. She kind of forces the fight. That's the way she kind of likes to fight. She's 10-1. She's 1-1 in the UFC, so she's decent, but I'm not too impressed. I think in the last 2 fights, she's literally missed weight in both of them. And she went split decision with Diniz losing the split decision. She's debuting in flyweight, so she's going up a weight class because she just couldn't handle the weight cut. And yeah, she's also a purple belt too. So like I said, if she can get Hardy to the ground and maybe try to sub her or something, maybe she can get the win. But I don't see that happening. I think Hardy's just going to be more experienced now, a lot more confident, and I think she's going to get the decision win on this one. Okay, guys, so for this next fight, we have Bassil Hafez versus Oban Elliott. Hafez's nickname is Habibi, so that's pretty cool. I think it's the Habibi or something like that, versus the Welsh gangster Oban Elliott. So they pretty much have both of them have cool nicknames. Honestly, guys, I was really kind of like, I was going with Hafez first, like when I just looked at them and like their fight history and their matches that they've had recently. I was kind of siding with Hafez until I saw the odds. Oban Elliott's like a -260 right now. Yeah, -240. So it just kind of worries me that like maybe I'm just not seeing something in Oban Elliott that I see in Hafez, because like maybe it could be recency bias, because I remember Hafez doing pretty well in his last fight versus Gall, I believe, and he went split decision with JDM. You know, he lost the decision, but it was still a split. So I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too much about that, but Oban Elliott obviously is really good. He's like 2-1 in the UFC, winning his Contender Series fights with finishes, I believe. I'm not too sure, but he's 11-2. He's from England, and he's like known for as being like the Welsh gangster, so it's a pretty cool nickname. And apparently he's actually cool with like a lot of UFC fighters like Chael Sonnen. He's cool with CM Punk apparently, and Chandler. And like I said, he's 2-1 in the UFC, won his Dana White's Contender Series fights. So a lot of these Dana White's Contender Series fights have proven to be really pretty good guys. So I could see probably why a lot of people are siding with Elliott on this one, but I feel it's going to be a lot closer, and I just don't agree with the odds is probably what it is. I am going to be picking Oban Elliott on this one by decision, so I could see him getting a finish too, but I don't know. I feel like Hafez is going to prove to be a real challenge, and I just don't think it's going to be an easy win for Elliott if Hafez does lose. I'm going to be going with Oban Elliott on this one, but I'm just not fully convinced yet. Maybe I just need to catch up on or watch some tape on Oban Elliott to convince me more. I have seen some videos on Hafez recently, and honestly I wasn't too impressed either. There is some things I do want to mention about Hafez as to why maybe I think he could win. He has been working on his wrestling. He trains with Chepe Mariscal and Gagey, Torres Finney, and Neil Magny, and he's been working on his timing. If you go to his Instagram, he does like these touch things to test his speed and accuracy and stuff. So I do think Hafez is for sure working really hard, and it just kind of adds to my narrative of me saying that I think it's going to be a really great fight, honestly, with 2 really good fighters, 2 up and coming fighters. So I'm really excited for this fight. I feel like it's going to be a fight to look out for, that's for sure. But still, I'm going to be picking Oban Elliott, and like I said, I am going to be betting on Hafez a bit. And another thing I remembered about Hafez is that he's like sponsored by some underwear brand, or he does like pictures or commercials for underwear, so that's pretty funny too. So yeah, hopefully Habibi could get the win, but for my picks, I'm going with Elliott. So maybe I should probably stay away from this fight terms of betting, because I do kind of want to bet on Hafez a bit, but I probably will, honestly, maybe like with some parlays or something, but not too much, because even then, like, I'm not too confident in Hafez being or having the upset win. So I'm gonna be going Oban Elliott decision, and yeah, let's go to the next fight. All right, guys. So for this next fight, we have Gall versus Ramiz Brahimaj. This one, guys, I'm pretty confident in Gall. I'm just gonna tell you right off the bat. I don't want to say I'm like crazy confident, because obviously the odds are kind of saying it's kind of like a pick'em almost. But I don't know. Ramiz just does not convince me, and I think Gall is like that veteran that has the capability of being able to win, especially versus a guy like Ramiz. Gall 6'2", Ramiz is 5'10". They're both coming off of losses, obviously. I'm gonna go with Gall by decision. I didn't really think about this one too much, because as soon as I saw Ramiz's record, I was like, yeah, I'm not picking this guy. Gall has been fighting some of the better guys, I would say. Yeah, I'm gonna be going with Gall on this one. And to add to that, Gall just had a kid like 2 months ago. He did fight CM Punk, so that's saying a lot, honestly. In terms of like maybe shining in the spotlight, you know. He trains with GM3. And as for Ramiz Brahimaj, he does train with Geoff Neal, Bilal Muhammad at Fortis MMA. He is a purple belt, but I'm just not convinced. Ramiz maybe by submission is maybe possible, maybe, but I don't think Mickey's gonna get subbed by him. I think Mickey's gonna get the decision win on this one. He might get a finish, but I'm gonna go with Mickey decision on that one. All right, guys. So for this next fight, we have Marcin Tybura versus Jhonata Diniz. As we all know, Diniz is coming from Glory Kickboxing, so he's a really good striker. He's undefeated in MMA, and he has a lot of knockouts. He just came off of win of beating Carl Williams, who's a wrestler. In that fight, Carl Williams kept trying to take him down, and I think he might have taken him down once or twice, but not enough to win the fight at all. Diniz almost finished him. He rocked Carl Williams, but I don't think Williams has been finished before. So yeah, Williams was able to survive, and Diniz got the victory, obviously. So, but now he's gonna be fighting a guy that's really experienced in Marcin Tybura. Tybura also has really good ground game, so it does make me think that Tybura is preferably going to want to take it to the ground, I believe, versus Diniz, who's going to want to keep it striking. I was first going with Tybura, then I switched to Diniz, but I don't know. At the same time, it's even though Diniz is undefeated, it's like Tybura has kind of proven himself in terms of who he's fought. He's only been knocked out by Tom Aspinall, who's obviously the current heavyweight champion. And other than that, he hasn't been knocked out in like, I think years, I believe. So I do think Tybura is going to be able to survive the storm that is Diniz and not get finished by him and somehow get the victory. It just really worries me if Tybura can't get the takedown Diniz. I do think Diniz can get the victory either by a finish or a decision. This one's really hard to predict for me, honestly, because I was picking on both sides for a bit, but I'm gonna go with Tybura because of the experience, and now the odds are actually going in Tybura's favor. Diniz was the favorite, but now he's the underdog, so I think the people that are betting are kind of agreeing that Tybura has a better chance, and I'm gonna slightly lean Tybura. For sure, this is not one that I want to bet on, that's for sure. Tybura, like I said, he has a great ground game. He only has lost to the best guys, and Diniz, just a kickboxer that's gonna want to try to get a KO or a decision win. And yeah, he does have that win against the wrestler Carl Williams, so super even matchup, I think, in terms of like positives on both sides. But I'm gonna be going Tybura decision. Where is it? Okay, Tybura. So yeah, let's go to the next fight, guys. All right, guys, so for this next fight, we have Jim Miller versus Damon Jackson, two veterans pretty much in the UFC fighting. We have Jim Miller, who just got beat up by Bobby Green. That was a pretty bad loss, but before that he was on a win streak. And then we have Damon Jackson, who just got beat up by, well, not beat up, but like had a really good battle versus Mauricio. On this one, guys, I'm gonna be going with Jim Miller, the underdog. I don't think that Damon Jackson is going to be able to outstrike Jim Miller. Yeah, Jim Miller got beat up by Bobby Green, but Bobby Green's a really good striker. He's really elusive and really hard to catch, I would say. And Jim Miller, I think he's just really well-rounded. I think he knows that Damon Jackson's probably going to want to take it to the ground. And as long as Jim Miller can keep it up on the feet, I'm going round 2 TKO for Jim Miller. I think I probably was thinking decision, but I'm thinking Jim Miller could get a finish on this one and finish Damon Jackson. Damon Jackson is training at a Fortis MMA. He's 1-3 in the last 4 fights, and his last win was getting a split decision win versus Alex Hernandez. But his losses are against really great guys like Danny Gay, Billy Quarantino, Mauricio. Jim Miller, on the other hand, he's 41 years old. He's 26-17 in the UFC, so he has a lot of UFC experience, and he hasn't been finished in 6 years. The last time he was finished was a submission to Oliveira. So like I said, guys, I don't think Damon Jackson is going to be the guy to finish him. Even though Jim Miller is getting older now, I do think I'm just kind of gonna not ignore, but gonna put aside that loss to Bobby Green and look at the fact that he was on a win streak. I think he's gonna come back with the win here and beat Damon Jackson. Not crazy confident on this one, honestly, because obviously he is the underdog. So I'm gonna be picking Miller as the underdog to get a TKO finish on Damon Jackson. If Damon Jackson were to win, I do think he'd get a decision win. I don't think he's gonna finish Jim Miller. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna be going Jim Miller by round 2 TKO. Okay, guys, so for this next fight we have Chris Weidman versus Eryk Anders. As we all know, Chris Weidman snapped his leg in half in one of his fights not too long ago, some years ago, and it was one of I hate to see when people post the gifs in Discord of him breaking his leg. I really don't like seeing it, honestly. I prefer not to see it. So it's just a really horrendous injury. So that does play into the pick here pretty much, because I'm gonna be going Eryk Anders by decision, guys. I just don't see Chris Weidman getting two wins in a row. His win over Bruno Silva is not that impressive. I mean, Bruno Silva just lost again to, I think, a guy that was debuting in the UFC, I think. So Bruno Silva is not a good win. Chris Weidman, I think they're still giving him a favorable matchup in Eryk Anders, who is like 40 or something, or like 39, I believe. He's pretty old too. Eryk Anders is 88-8 in the UFC. Anders does compete in grappling competitions, and he does have a lot of KO wins, and he's usually loses by decision. As for Chris Weidman, he's 40 years old. He's been KO'd a lot, and he usually doesn't lose decisions. And so when I look at that, I'm thinking, okay, so Chris Weidman, I think his path to victory is just getting a decision win, but I think Eryk Anders can try to test the chin of Chris Weidman and strike with him and try to get a finish. So I'm going to be going Eryk Anders by decision, in terms of me thinking that maybe Chris Weidman is going to be able to survive whatever Eryk Anders throws at him, because Eryk Anders, I don't want to say he's not bad or not the best, but I don't think Eryk Anders is going to get a finish on Weidman. Even though Weidman has been KO'd a lot, I think it's going to be more of an even battle, and I just don't think either guy's going to get a finish on this one. I do think it's going to go to the decision, and Weidman, like I said, I just don't see him getting 2 wins in a row. If he does win, then yeah, I guess cool, but I think even the odds have Eryk Anders as a favorite. He is a -127, so it's still a pick 'em pretty much, but I'm for sure leaning on Anders on this one. It could be a little bit biased because I just don't think Chris Weidman is cut to be in the UFC still, because he's older now, a big injury, and he's just been losing a lot recently. So I think Eryk Anders gets the decision on this one. I think Eryk Anders could I don't want to say edge out a victory, but I think it could be a split for Eryk Anders. I don't see him getting unanimous, but I think it's going to be a tough battle for sure. So I'm going to be going Eryk Anders by decision on that one, guys. Okay, guys, so for this next fight we have Marcus McGhee versus Jhonata Martinez. I'm really excited about this fight, guys, because it's the last fight of the prelims, and I'm a really big fan of Marcus McGhee, guys. He's a really cool guy. He's like a chef. He has like a YouTube channel where he posts his like cooking videos. He's a family man, obviously, and he's cool with Kyler Phillips. They're always posting like funny stuff. And in all of his UFC fights, he's 3-0. He's gotten performance of the night by a finish. So this guy's really good, guys. He also does remind me of Trippie Redd. He looks like a older version of Trippie Redd. So it's just like a bunch of factors as to why I do like Marcus McGhee. I could be really biased on this one because he is fighting Jhonata Martinez, who's obviously a really good fighter in the UFC before his loss to Jose Aldo. So I do know the dangers of McGhee fighting Martinez. I think it's a good matchup because obviously McGee's undefeated at 3-0 in the UFC, and Martinez has just had one of the best win streaks in a while before he lost to Jose Aldo. So I do think it's gonna be a really great fight. I do think Marcus McGhee can get the finish on Martinez. I do think he can get it by a round 2 TKO. McGhee is really patient. He's pretty confident and patient in terms of the way he sets up his strikes, because he's just kind of looking to where he can get that punch where he can end a guy or just do really devastating damage. As for Martinez, I think he's gonna try to smother McGhee, try to put him up against the fence, try to test his cardio. But I think McGhee is gonna just somehow put his plan in set and do what he wants, and I think McGhee is gonna be able to get the finish on this one. Like I said, guys, I could be a little bit biased towards McGhee, but I do think he can get the finish on this one. I do hope he wins. The odds right now have McGhee at a minus. He's a favorite at a -140, and Jhonata Martinez is a +120. So I do want to bet on McGhee just because I like him, honestly, but I honestly, in the back of my head, I do know it's pretty dangerous to bet on this one because he's fighting Jhonata Martinez, guys. He's only lost to Jose Aldo recently, so that's kind of saying a lot. And I do think that it's gonna be for sure a great fight, but I'm still going to be siding with McGhee. As for bets, I do think I'll probably throw McGhee in some parlays, honestly. And I don't know if I'll do moneyline McGhee, but Martinez, if I were to pick him, I do think he can get a decision win, I believe. Unless he like does a bunch of leg kicks and messes up McGhee's legs. But I think McGhee's going to be ready for that. I think McGhee's smart and he's going to have the fight IQ. So if Martinez does win, I think he can get a decision. But I'm going to go with McGhee by a TKO finish in round 2. Okay, guys. So for this next fight, we have Mauricio Ruffy versus James Llontop. Guys, I don't really think I need to talk about this one too much because Ruffy's like a minus 900, I believe. What is it? Minus 900? Yeah, minus 900 versus Llontop, who's a plus 600. And honestly, guys, I do agree with the odds. I'm not to say that high, but I for sure think Ruffy's gonna win. There's just so many positive things pointing to him probably winning. The most important being obviously he's been on a tear in the UFC. He's from the Fighting Nerds, so he's with that gang. You know, they're on a tear in total. They're all winning their fights, and he has had comparisons to like Conor McGregor in terms of like the way he fights and all that. So obviously I do think Ruffy's gonna be able to win this because he's fighting Llontop, who's 0-2 in the UFC. But Llontop has never been KO'd, but I don't know. I feel like Ruffy is gonna be that guy to maybe get a finish. Okay, guys, so I just switched my pick. I was going with Ruffy decision first, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm gonna go a little bit more with the hype and say he gets a finish because Llontop has never been KO'd, but I do think Ruffy's could be that guy. Obviously, you know, he's with the Fighting Nerds, you know, comparisons to Conor McGregor, that kind of stuff, and he has had like how many KO victories in the UFC? Just one, well, 2 if you count the Contender Series fight, but he got performance of the night in his last fight versus Jamie Malarkey. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna go Ruffy with the TKO on that one. Okay, guys, so for this next fight, we have Karine Silva versus Viviane Araujo. Karine Silva is a pretty big favorite right now, I think. I'm going with her decision, obviously. A minus 251 versus Viviane, who is a plus 211. So I do agree with the odds on this one, guys. I mean, Karine is 4-0 in the UFC. I do think Silva is going to be able to get the win on this one. In her last 4 fights, I think she got like 3 finishes by submission. Araujo has never been subbed before, so I'm thinking that's why I'm going with Karine decision on this one, because I do think Karine is going to be able to win. I just don't know how exactly. Maybe a submission, but I'm going to be leaning with decision on this one because I do think Viviane's going to be able to defend the submission threats, and maybe Silva's just going to be able to outpoint her. But yeah, guys, I'm going to be going with Silva on that one. I didn't really think about this one too much, obviously, because, you know, it's WMMA, and I'm not too excited for this one unless Karine gets a finish, but I'm going to be siding with Karine on this one. I'm going to be riding the wave on that one. I think I've been picking her every time she's been fighting, so I'm going to keep picking her until she loses, maybe. So yeah, guys, that's Karine Silva by a decision win on that one. Next fight. Okay, guys, so for this next fight, we have Bo Nickal versus Paul Craig, the Bear Jew, I believe. Is that what they call him, the Bear Jew? I think that's his nickname, or one of his nicknames. I'm not too sure. But yeah, we have Bo Nickal. He's like a minus 1,000 or something right now. Or let me see. Let me pull it up. Bo Nickal is a minus 1,300. Paul Craig is a plus 775, guys. So obviously, guys, I'm gonna be going with Bo Nickal on the pick. It's just, you know, like I could try to pick Paul Craig on this one, but you know, everything just points to Bo Nickal. You know, he's undefeated. He just keeps beating every guy and getting finishes. I think he's really competitive, and I think it's really going to be showing in the way he's progressing. And I just don't think Paul Craig is going to be the guy to beat him. So I'm going to be going Bo Nickal by submission on this one. I think he's going to be able to submit the submission specialist in Paul Craig. And even saying that, I am going to for sure be betting Paul Craig by submission. Those numbers are going to be crazy. Maybe a TKO. You never know. Maybe he KOs on Bo Nickal. I don't see this one going to decision. I mean, it could happen. Maybe I would bet like 50 cents on Paul Craig by decision just for fun, even though I highly doubt it. But yeah, guys, I'm going to go with Bo Nickal on this one. I don't think I really need to convince you guys of Paul Craig, but you never know. So yeah, guys, Bo Nickal round 3 submission for now. But let's go to the next fight. All right, guys. So for the second last fight of the night, or the co-main event, we have Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. This is the rematch, guys. This is Oliveira versus Chandler 2. As we all know, in the first fight, Chandler was winning in the first round. He dropped Charles. He's beating him up on the ground pretty much, and he was pretty much winning, you know, in terms of what it looked like. In the second round, Oliveira just came back, didn't starch Chandler, but like buzzed him. He dropped Chandler, and Chandler just couldn't recover. Oliveira just finished him, I think, within the minute of the first round, I believe. believe, or the first 30 seconds, I don't know. But Charles beat him in the first fight, and that's why he's the favorite at like a minus 255, while Chandler is a plus 215. I do agree with the odds in terms of like why it's like that, because obviously, like, if you think about it, like the way I rationalized it now, because at first I was going Chandler, and then I was thinking like, well, as I watched the fight again, their first fight, I literally watched the other day, I was thinking like, okay, well, let's see what happens if the same things were to happen. If Chandler does drop Oliveira, can he finish him? And then same thing with Oliveira. If Oliveira does drop Chandler, can he finish him? So I looked back, and yeah, Chandler did drop Oliveira, but he couldn't finish him. Like, Oliveira just kept defending, you know, from the ground. Obviously Chandler was trying, maybe going into his guard and trying to get some ground and pound, but he wasn't like fully committed to getting a good ground and pound, it looked like. Or maybe he just couldn't find good openings. Versus Charles Oliveira, as to when he dropped Chandler, he was after him. He kept going. He kept chasing after Chandler until he kept rocking him, and then finally just put him out. So I think that's why I'm going to be going with Oliveira in this one. I think Oliveira has way better finishing potential, so I do think Oliveira has the edge on that side. If it goes the full 3 rounds, I can see Chandler winning, I think, but I just don't see Chandler avoiding Oliveira's punches for all 5 of the rounds. I don't think Oliveira is going to be able to miss a bunch of punches to Chandler in 5 rounds. I think Chandler's going to have to try to eat 1 or 2, and I just don't think his chin is capable of doing that versus Oliveira, who's going to be looking for that finishing punch like he always does. He's going to be able to take some damage to get the damage across, like how he usually does in his fights, and I think that's going to get him the win on this one. I also do, the more I do think about it, even right now, it's like I do look at the fact that Chandler has been training for a while now for the Conor McGregor fight, which would have been a huge fight, you know. If you think about it, Chandler was going to fight literally one of the best fighters in the sport ever, if not the biggest competitor in terms of the numbers that Conor McGregor bought. So obviously Chandler was probably investing a lot of time, money, people into training for that fight. So I do think some of that is going to carry over to this fight. I think that's what kind of makes me think about the odds, and it makes me want to bet on Chandler, honestly, because I'm going to be picking Oliveira, but I'm going to be throwing a little bit of money on Chandler. I think he could pull it off. And like I said, just going back to when he dropped Oliveira the first time, you know, maybe he's been training a way to get more better finishes, you know. Maybe he's going to find a way to finish Oliveira this time. I am going to be going Oliveira for the pick on this one by round 2 TKO for Oliveira on this one. I think the same thing's gonna happen. I think Chandler's gonna come out strong. He's gonna put on a good first round, and then Oliveira is just gonna come back with the punch and then drop Chandler and finish him again. So like I said, guys, I'm picking Oliveira for the pick, but I am gonna be betting Chandler. Round 1 TKO for Chandler is probably pretty good, decent odds right now. So like I said, betting on Chandler, but picking Oliveira. If Chandler were to win, I do think he can get a TKO. I just don't see this one going to decision for all 5 rounds. So yeah, guys, I'm going Oliveira round 2 TKO on that one. Okay, guys, so for the last fight of the night, for this Saturday, we have Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. Honestly, guys, I feel like this is like history that we're witnessing here, because Jon Jones is one of the greatest fighters ever, pretty much, and I do agree with that. I'm going to be going Jon Jones round 3 TKO. Unfortunately, everything just points to Jon Jones winning. As much as I want to believe that Stipe has a chance of beating him, I don't know. It just makes me think like Dana's so hyped up about Jon Jones. Like a bunch of other people, obviously, other people just in general just agree that Jon Jones is the GOAT. And Jon Jones has never lost. So I can't pick a guy who's never lost in all of his competition years. I do think Jon Jones chose this fight because I do think he can win it. I don't think, I'm not saying Jon Jones is ducking Aspinall. It could say for the fact that Jon Jones just doesn't think it's worth, he even said it himself, he doesn't think it's worth giving Tom Aspinall a chance if he hasn't really like done much in history. So I do agree that Jon Jones should fight Stipe over Tom Aspinall right now, because it's going to help him in his legendary status over the long run, and it's definitely a winnable fight. So in saying that, like I said, it's just a bunch of reasons as to why I think Jon Jones is going to win. I do think him at heavyweight, he's going to be moving a little bit different, because we didn't really see how he was moving in the last fight versus Cyril Gane. It was a short fight, you know, so we didn't really see much. So I do think in this fight, I think we're going to see a lot more of Jon Jones at heavyweight. I don't think Jon Jones is going to get an early finish. I think it's going to go well into the rounds, and I'm thinking round 3, Jon Jones is going to be able to pull it off somehow. Maybe round 4 or 5, but I'm going to meet in the middle and go round 3 TKO for Jones. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm super excited about this fight. fight night, or this event, UFC 309. I forgot it's a numbered fight. It's a UFC 309 this weekend. Super excited. Like I said, I called off work just to watch it. And yeah, guys, it's going to be super historic. I think it's going to be a lot better than what people are expecting. I do think it's going to be a really good night of fights. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like the video, please. Subscribe if you guys haven't. My goal is still to get 100 subscribers by the end of the year. I know it's not much time, but it's for sure a good goal that I think would be great. If you guys can just please subscribe, I'll just keep posting videos like normal. As you guys can see on the screen, I have been going up in ranks again. I went from like bronze to, I think I was like number 2000 something, but now I'm number 1500. Oh, I forgot to show you guys my I forgot to talk about last weekend's card. So last weekend, guys, I ended up losing in total of like $9, I believe, like 10 bucks pretty much. Here are my picks. I got 10 out of 11 right last weekend. I only got one wrong, so I went 10 and 11, 2 perfect, I think. Like I said, I'm gonna be putting some money on some underdogs, some favorites, some guys that I just like. And yeah, guys, like I said, comment below, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.